we are going to rank every single Super Smash Bros. Game. Welcome back. It's Rob and Kelvin from the gaming duo. Each of us will be creating our own tier list on every Super Smash Bros. Game. And at the end of the video, you can decide which tier list you agree with more by letting us know in the comments below. Ready, Kelvin? Let's do it. First game up, Super Smash Bros. Take it away. What do you think?
Yeah, I really have a special place in my heart for the OG Super Smash Brothers, simply because of just it was the first game. Having the 8 characters that you had, right, and additional like 4 secret characters. You had your main characters like Pikachu, Captain Falcon, Fox. It was the best game you can play as a brawler. So I'm gonna probably put this game A tier for sure.
My take on it is this is the one that started it all, and you know there's a lot of nostalgia, but I will say did not age very well, obviously, because it's an N64 game. So when I think of Super Smash Brothers, this isn't the first one that I'm gonna go and reach a controller for to play, right? There's other ones on this list that I much rather pick up and play. But you had all the different characters that you didn't know. Again, we had 4 secret characters. You know, you had Luigi, Captain Falcon, Ness, right? Everyone was very confused about Ness. Remember, they were like, who is this Pokemon trainer dude, right? That's what everyone thought with like powers.
Right.
So I thought that was so cool that they actually introduced those secret characters. And I'll never forget like the first time you encounter one of those secret characters when it had, you know, challenger approaching, right? And it had like that like siren going off. There are so many memories tied to the original Super Smash Brothers. And if you have this out in the party, no one's going to say no to playing this. So I'm going to actually put the original Super Smash Brothers for myself. I'm going to put it in the B tier, right? It's not a C game. It's definitely not a C game, but it's going to be on the B tier for me on this list here. So
next up is Super Smash Brothers Melee. Rob, what do you think?
This game holds a special place in my heart. This is the reason why I bought a GameCube. I think I was maybe 10 or 11 at the time when this came out. It took the original Super Smash Bros. Formula and just revolutionized it, right? You couldn't, and the game looked absolutely gorgeous, right? When you first pull up the adventure mode and you go in and you're playing as your favorite character, you're playing in this beautiful 3D world, you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually playing this, right? It just looked so good. The gameplay was so snappy. Everything felt like the way it needed to feel. You had new charge attacks. You had so many trophies you could collect, right? The soundtrack was amazing. There's so much you can talk about this game, right? From the competitive scene to wave dashing, like that mechanic. The game itself was just that's where you started seeing a meta for the game, and this is when we saw Super Smash as a real competitive brawler and fighter. This game for me is an S tier game. This is an S tier game. It is the #1 selling GameCube game as well. Yeah, Melee, S tier, easy.
You can't go wrong with Melee. Again, I think you nailed it when you said that this game really revolutionized fighting brawl genre, and on top of that, it just made Super Smash Brothers that much better in every single way. I love the fact that it included like an adventure mode, right? Like a story mode. That was really cool, and it holds up till this day. You were talking about the original OG Smash Brothers, bro. It doesn't really hold up right now, right? But Super Smash Bros. Melee, if you play that right now, you can still play that and still feel comfortable playing that game. And it's still in the competitive scene. Like you can still go into the competitive scene and still see Super Smash Bros. Melee today. So it has a lot going for it, man. It is one of the best brawlers out there, and I'm gonna have to agree with you. S tier is probably where it has to stay.
I think people would lose their minds if we actually
put it anywhere else.
Anywhere, that's just where it is.
Yeah,
It's forever legendary. But speaking of legendary, let's move on to the next iteration, Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
Yeah, Super Smash Brothers Brawl was a very interesting one for me. This is the least played game for me within the Super Smash Brothers family. And I will say it is probably the most hyped one for me, simply because it introduced third-party characters into the Super Smash Bros. Family. And so that right there was huge, right? You introduced Snake, one of my favorite characters of all time, and Sonic, one of the most well-known, respected characters of all time. Including that in this game made this that much more hype. And it kind of started this who's next, right? Like who is going to be next in this, and just kind of led to this massive appeal of like, oh, we can't wait to the next character review, we can't wait to the next character review. And that really bolstered Smash Brothers in general, right? I love the fact that it introduced 4 controllers that you can use simultaneously. Like you can use different controllers while playing this game, which is pretty cool. And I did like the different art direction that I went towards. It went more for a more realistic approach as opposed to more like cartoon. But overall, this did introduce a lot of new mechanics. I did love the subspace emissary, which was really cool. That was like really more focused on the story mode of the game, and it had cool cutscenes. That was a real cool iteration to the Smash Brothers title. So I'm gonna put this one, honestly, as although I didn't play it as much, I'm gonna probably put this at an S tier.
Brawl at S tier.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a hot take. That's
Hot
a
take.
hot take. That's a hot take, and that's what we do here. Yeah, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It is such a weird game for me because I love this game, but it's also such a bastard of a game, I want to say. And when I say that is, again, it blew the lid to allow all these different characters, right? Like you had Snake, you had Wolf, you had Pit, right? You had all of these new characters, and it was just like so many different ones. Meta Knight, I can go on. And it just looked good as well, right? That's the thing in Smash Brothers. As we keep going, it just continuously looks better and better with each iteration. Hated the tripping, awful mechanic,
Yes,
right?
agreed. Yep.
The fact that this came out on the Wii and people literally like just didn't even use a Wiimote, they just use their GameCube controller. Like that's basically what they did, right? They plugged their GameCube controller into the Wii no matter what to use those controls. The fact that they kept the legacy controls, so I do appreciate, the game allowing, basically starting to make the game controller basically timeless, and it's synonymous with Super Smash Brothers. Again, the game did do a lot right, but for me, this is the first title that kind of felt like Super Smash Brothers took like almost a step back. Melee revolutionized the formula. This still did a good job at doing that, but it didn't feel the same as when I first was playing Melee, right? This just felt like a small, evolution of it, but I still was like, Melee's better, right? I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go ahead and put Brawl. I'll give it an A tier. I'll give it an A tier. Okay. It's an A tier. Yeah, solid. It's better than the original, but it's not as good as Melee, so it is an A tier game. Let's move on. Bring us to the next one, Kelvin.
Super Smash Brothers 3DS. Rob, what did you think about that one?
The 3DS was interesting, right? The Super Smash Bros. 3DS was interesting. No one really asked for it, but they gave it to us anyway. They're like, hey, so we're coming out with Super Smash Bros. Next iteration, but we're going to give you 2 games instead. So if you want to play in your 3DS, you can. Kind of weird at the time, but it's appreciated, right? And they made that game a little more cartoony than its bigger brother, the Wii U, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But what I did like is it gave us the amiibos, right? In a sense, right? So I do appreciate that. That's when it kind of kicked us off with this amiibo collecting thing. I didn't really play the 3DS version that much, but it's kind of cool knowing that you can just kind of play Super Smash Brothers right then and there on a go. I can't speak for the online though. I would imagine that the online for it was probably awful for the 3DS. So I feel like that component's kind of like washed, but Super Smash Brothers in your pocket, I feel like you can't really beat that, right? Anytime. So I'm going to put the 3DS version of Super Smash Brothers as a B tier. It's a B tier game.
Yeah, this one's a really cool one because no one really, like you said, asked for this, right? And so it had good intentions, but for me, the overall package just felt inferior in every way, right? I mean, you're not really getting the best Super Smash Brothers experience. Granted, obviously you're playing on a 3DS, so understandably so, but you've removed the story mode at that point. The online gameplay itself wasn't that great. I mean, you've added cool features like the amiibos, like you said, customizable Mii fighters. You can actually use Mii fighters in this, which is pretty cool. And then you can customize your own weapons or your own special moves, I should say. So that added another layer to the mechanics of the game. But overall, it just felt like an inferior version, and I just really couldn't get on board with it, more so than I did with Brawl. So I'm gonna probably have to put this at a C tier.
It's not a bad place for it. I'm not. It's a good place for it. I think me giving it in the B tier, pretty generous.
We're on the higher side.
That's generous of me, but we're gonna.
Here am I with the Brawl going S tier, so
Some people really like, again, favorite pizza. What's your favorite pizza? They're all
True.
pretty good. Pizza's good. All right, let's move on to its older brother, Super Smash Brothers Wii U.
This is the game that got me back into Smash Brothers, right? I said before, Brawl was the one that I played less of simply because I just didn't really care for the Wii version of the game. But the Wii U I had, and I actually played extensively when it came to Super Smash Brothers Wii U. So this was great. Again, another revolutionary step within the game. You had your 8 players, like that was insane. Seeing that for the first time, you're actually playing 8 players, like that's insane. You had Smash Tour, which was a completely different way to do a story mode, which is kind of a more so a board game kind of style, which is really cool. And then there was just different things that they've added in this game. Like, I think this is when they added Pac-Man, which another fan favorite for me. Overall, I think this was a much better package that you were getting. Again, like you said, Rob, the graphics continue to increase and become better as the games went on. And this was definitely one of the most prettiest games out there for Super Smash Brothers. All the stuff that they added, again, you can use multiple controllers like we did before. It just kept adding on to what made Super Smash Brothers Brawl so much better. So I'm gonna actually put this at a nice A tier category.
Yeah. This game is another interesting one because it did a lot right. But I think my number one complaint about this game is the fact that it was on the Wii U, right? And I think that, like, every time you wanted to play that game or set it up, it was a pain in the butt, right? You had to always use your Wiimote for the most part, right? The controller thing. But I also appreciated that it started the DLC type of, we are now getting DLC characters coming in, right? We had Bayonetta, Cloud, Mewtwo, Lucas. Like, you're seeing all these different characters come in. You're like, what? We can get DLC now for Super Smash Brothers? Now we're starting to get like this huge, like, the world is opening up so much more for Super Smash. Again, third parties coming now, and you're like, wait, well, I can't. I will never forget the time where they showed the Cloud gameplay or the Cloud demo trailer, and I was like, there's no way. I'm having a stroke right now. This actually isn't happening. And they did it. And that's when I feel like that's what this game did so well, was that it was like Super Smash Brother is a collection or a celebration of all things video games. And for that, I appreciate this game, even though it's tied behind the Wii U. I have to give this game, I wish I could give it an S. But I also have to give it an A tier, just because I can't, like, the console, it's because it was tied behind a crappy console doesn't mean it was a bad game. So I'm going to give it an A tier. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to check out some similar content on our channel, like our Xbox ranking video and our PlayStation exclusive title video. Let's keep it going.
So to wrap this video up, let's go with the big dog here. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Rob, take us home.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? It is the ultimate Smash game, right? You have 74 characters when this game released, with an additional 15 DLC characters right after. So for a grand total, you got 89 playable characters, and they're all, for the most part, pretty different. There's some echo characters, but they're all pretty different in their own way. This is the perfect Super Smash game. There's really nothing that even comes close. I mean, like I said, people love Melee, but this is leagues better than Melee. It just, everything works the way it should. The accessibility for it works on a great console to Switch, right? You can literally play it anywhere. It is the perfect Super Smash Brothers game, and quite frankly, it's one of the best games ever of our time. This is so easy for me to give it an S tier. I can't even say, like, this is one of my favorite games ever. Like, it is just, it's going to be so hard for the next iteration to top this game. I don't think it can, if there is one that comes out. If they just stopped making these games and this was the last game to ever come out, I'd be happy with it. I'd be like, that's a good place to end. Yep, I'm okay with that. So if I could give in like an A++ tier, this game would be in that. So yeah, man.
How do I
you see that words? He doesn't have words right now. For
I don't have words, because Super Smash Brothers Ultimate was and is one of my favorite games of all time, and still is till this day. I mean, the fact that you get 15 DLC characters, one of them being Sora. I mean, guys, if you don't know us, we had a whole reaction video when Sora came out, and we lost our minds. We completely lost our minds. But not only that, move the DLC things aside. the game is perfect. Like, there's nothing that really competes with this game. The fact that this game just it's more snappier, it's faster paced, like gameplay wise, it just feels perfect. It feels great. The online could be a little bit better, but even then, it had tournament mode. It has a bunch of like really cool things that you can just dive into. Story mode was a little extensive, I will say, a little too long for my liking, and I would prefer like more focused subspace emissary. That's kind of like my jam. But for the most part, everything about this game was near perfect. This game, if you don't put this on an S tier, then you're a psychopath, basically. So S tier for me, 100%.
But yeah, that's it. This is our tier list, guys. Let us know in the comments below. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Rob's, or do you agree with Kelvin's? I mean, they're pretty similar. I mean, there's only 5 games here, but we want to speculate about Smash. Also, please let us know what you guys want us to rank next, because we love doing these and we're having a great time. So we'll catch you guys in the next video, and thank you for watching.